to Mrs. Peach Thrifty Living. I'm so glad you're here today. I'm going to start my second part 2 of A Glimpse in My Life, and I don't know how many episodes this is going to be because I just barely got started in my life, and I have my handy dandy notes here because I'll forget something. And first off, my sister wanted to, if you remember last week I told you about my parents buying the home for $500 with an acre on it. She did remind me that it was just a little 4-room little house, and later my dad added several different, he added a washroom, wraparound porch in the back. We kept our freezer and our washer and dryer after we got one, and double sinks in the back. And so we always had a screened in back porch that we didn't sit on it. It was just more storage and an entrance in and out. And also they didn't have a bathroom at the time that they bought the house, and it was just an outhouse. She is almost 6 years older than me, and she remembers that, which by the time I came along, they had one. So I wanted to clear that one up and tell about that. So then I want to go ahead and mention, I know I said, and please forgive me if I'm repeating myself on some of these things, because as they come to me, I sometimes won't remember that I told you, but I'm hoping I don't get too repetitive that you're going to be thinking, oh my goodness, I wish you'd stop that. Okay, anyway, I did tell you my dad was a carpenter, and he was in the union at that time, and that was very popular, and so he would be laid off every so often. So he did draw unemployment at times, and then at times, then in the summer we would go, as we got older, we'd go pick peaches and prunes. Those are very popular in our area, and I remember going out there many times and picking peaches, and then we'd stop by the river on the way home and get in the water and get the peach fuzz off of us. That was a good memory. And another thing I remember, my mom used to make us and she never went. My mom would stay home and take care of the house. That's what she did. And so us kids, and Daddy would give us the money we earned. Somehow he figured it out. And he would give us the money that we earned. So we got to spend it however we chose. And of course, we wasn't extravagant by any means, and it wasn't big money, but it was fun. But Mama would send our lunch with us. And I don't know, and I'm not sure they even make them. They used to make this orange cake with little orange candy-like things in the cake. And I remember that was always something that stood out in my mind. It was always a fun time. Let's see if I'm not okay. And Daddy also planted the garden. He tended the garden. We would go out and help him sometimes, but that was not, I guess, something we really, really loved to do. And of course, he had the back field that he would either have to mow it. At times, I remember there were times, and of course, this is kind of like more country. It's not an incorporated city. And they would burn the back field, make sure that, it was a control burn. Everybody's standing out there making sure that it didn't get out of bounds and then cause a fire somewhere else. So that happened many times. And we had a burning barrel. We didn't have city garbage, and we would take any burnable thing and burn it in our burning barrel. We'd put the little screened over top on it, and that was a wonderful way to burn your trash at that time. Let's see. And then as I was young, I think I may have mentioned some of this, so forgive me again. We've had chickens. We had the chicken house in our backfield part. They kind of separated it out from the living part of the yard to the back in the backfield, and we had chicken house, and we had a barn at one time. And at times we would have a cow, and Daddy would raise it to, we would have milk cows at times, and just one. I don't remember ever having more than one cow. Now that could be something I really don't remember, but we would have a cow, and Daddy would milk it, and we'd make our butter, and I don't think we ever made cheese or anything, but we drank our milk and did butter, and enjoyed it all kinds of ways. So it really come in handy. And then, of course, at times we had chickens. We'd get them as little baby chicks, those little yellow baby chicks, and they'd raise up. And then we did have layer chickens at times, but a lot of times the chickens we raised, we had, after they got a certain age, big enough, then we would eat them. I remember Mama wringing their necks and then picking the feathers off. We didn't do it a lot, but I do remember that. And at that time, it was good. We just enjoyed it so much. And then Mama would fry us up some fried chicken. And let's see, what else did I wanted to remember to say? Also, I know I'm dwelling on Daddy a lot, but Daddy always did all the repairs up on the top of the roof, and would do everything. I mean, if there was any job that needed to be done at the house, they didn't call in any other person to take care of it. They did it themselves as much as. And in our yard, we had an olive tree. And it was our delight to invite somebody that didn't know anything about an olive tree to come out and try an olive off the olive tree. Well, if you know anything about olives, you don't do them that way. It was a process Mom and Daddy would do. They'd take the olives, and then they would put them in some kind of crock, a big crock that had some kind of lye water. Don't ask me the whole directions. You can check it out. I'm sure there's lots of people that still do it. And then you rinse it, and then you do it in salt water, and the results were delicious. And so we always had olives, but they're terrible on the tree. They're not ready to eat. Oh my goodness. I also wanted to tell you about our garage. We had a little teeny garage, and we always used it. Daddy always was the only one that drove, and he would drive into the driveway, and we'd drive up into the garage, and it was so narrow. I mean, it just had inches on both sides. You got in, then when you'd get out of the car, you'd squeeze out of the car and get out, and then we'd shut the door of the garage doors. They were two wooden doors with a little board, a little square board that had a nail nailed in it, and you would turn that around, and you would have your door shut. So that was always remembering. Daddy always put things in the little rafters that it didn't have a closed-in ceiling, so you could lay your boards or old camping cots or whatever up in the top. Let me see. I'm going a little out of I had another little thought in mind too. Oh, I wanted to tell you about the chicken house. The fruit house. I'm sorry. The fruit house. We had a fruit house also. It was kind of adjacent to the garage. It was hooked on to that, but you came in another door, and Mama always kept all of her canned foods there that she canned. We never canned corn. We put that in the freezer, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But she canned green beans and peaches and pears and tomatoes and pickle relish, zucchini relish, and I can't think of other things right now, but whatever she had, they canned. And what they didn't can, along the way, we got a deep freeze. And it was one of those chest type, and we would put our food in that, whatever we froze, like lots of corn. Daddy grew a lot of corn. And I do want to back up just 1 minute. Before we got a freezer, they had in town, they had this locker that you could go to town and you could rent a locker and you could put your frozen food in this locker. And I remember using that. We used that for some time before we got a freezer. Okay, let's see. I talked about the freezer now. This in the late, okay, let me read my notes here a minute. This was late 40s and 50s. You remember, I was born in 45, so I was 5 and 50. And I do want to tell you that we did not have a TV till I was in high school, and my brother, Glenn, brought the TV in. Somehow he got a TV and hooked it up for us, and we thought that was wonderful. We didn't get to watch it very much, and we probably had a little TV antenna that, you know, you get 2 or 3 channels, and we're about 40 or 50 miles from where the TV stations are, so we didn't get very much TV. And we certainly didn't have cable to bring it into our house. Before we got a TV, though, our neighbors got one well before us when we were kids, and we would get to once in a while go over to their house and sit and watch cartoons on Saturday morning. That was a real treat. Oh my goodness, that was really an awesome treat. Okay, let's see. I think I've got quite a bit more here to say. So I know I really talked about my daddy and mama, but this is part of my life, and I'll eventually get into a little bit more of mine, but this all had a lot to do with me raising. I do want to say one thing at the end. And all my life, you know, I've told you over and over several times, if you've heard me, that our life was, we had a lot of church. We went to church, and that was a big part of our lives. Well, it wasn't just church at home, at church, but in the morning and at night. I don't remember so much in the morning, but at night, we had read the Bible and pray every night. Daddy would have us all in there, and he'd read a scripture, sometimes too long, we thought. And then we'd all get on our knees and pray. And that's a big memory for me, and it worked well. I'm going to stop here. I don't know how long I've went, and I'll continue on the next episode. So come back and join me. If you like this, comment. Tell me your memories. I would be thrilled to hear some of those. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep coming back. Subscribe if you haven't. Share it if you know somebody that would like this. And come again. And God bless you.